Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Justin Talks TV. Gosh, it's been so long. So long. Over a year and a half. My apologies. It's been quite the year and a half. Big push finishing college and navigating post grad. But I miss talking about my favorite shows with everybody. I really do. I really do. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Justin Turner. I love television. I love to watch television. I love to talk about it. I love to analyze it, think about it. Television is my favorite thing. I just use this podcast as an outlet to talk about some of my favorite shows and share the shows I think we're all watching and sharing it together. So I thought, what better than my like comeback type episode after a while than to talk about my favorite shows of 2025 as the year ends out. So let's get into it. I'm going to break down my top five favorites of the year with some honorable mentions, and let's get into it. So, starting off with an oldie but a goodie, a show that's been on for a while, but I'm still loving and still considered one of the best TV shows on the air is Abbott Elementary. I love Abbott Elementary. We will not tolerate Abbott Elementary slander in this house. I think it's still one of the best shows on television, 5 seasons in, still funny, still entertaining, still puts a smile on my face every episode. I try to soak it all in every week as much as possible because once it's gone, and we don't have network sitcoms like that anymore. So I think this could truly be the last great network sitcom. So I try to soak it in every week while I still have it. But 2025 has had the back half of season four of Abbott earlier in the year. And I think that was such a strong season for Abbott. You know, it had a big twist with Ava getting fired. I was like, Ava. I was like, Ava's fired, like for real? And I think it showed so much growth from when the show first started, where in the first season, you're like, I want Ava to be fired because she's so bad at her job. But then when she does, you're like devastated because of all the character growth she's had over the 4 seasons. And in season four in particular, she grew a lot emotionally. She was still hilarious as ever. And Ava just grew so much as a person. You saw different sides of Ava you had never seen before. And I think that was really a special treat for viewers to see another side of Ava in season four. I feel like that was her season. I feel like every season kind of has a character that their growth is charted pretty well. Specifically throughout the season, I think that year was Ava's, and it was such a joy to watch. You know, from her not wanting to be the principal at the beginning, and now that she's fired, she still has other means of income, but she still finds herself still wanting to be the principal at Abbott. And of course, the show is just funny. It's just classic line after line. Every episode is just a joy. Even if it's not like the most laugh out loud type episode, you can still have a smile on your face watching it. It's already just a peak comfort show. Like, I don't usually rewatch shows until the series is over, but I find myself rewatching at the end of every season because I love it and I miss it. And then even season five, which started back in October, is still topping itself. You know, the Phillies game episode they shot an episode at a live Phillies game. And that is something I've never seen on television or on a sitcom, them shooting at a live sporting event. And just, it's funny. It's funny. We need laughs in today's era. So, all like Quinta, you are incredible. I don't know how you keep pulling it off, but keep doing it. We're gonna keep watching Abbott. I'm gonna keep watching Abbott. You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of season five has to bring. But that's still one of my favorites of the year. And then next, let's talk about a show that came out this year that I really, really enjoyed. And it's this Netflix series called Forever, which is an adaptation of the book by Judy Bloom. And it has black leads, my favorite. If you know me, you know I love black leads. Like, that's like all, like it. like when I first saw the trailer, I'm just like, wait, is this a teen love story about two black people that's not rooted in trauma and turmoil and everything? I'm just like, yes, yes, I'm so excited. And it totally met my expectations. So if you haven't watched the show, it's about two childhood friends who are reunited as teenagers who fall deeply in love, and they experience, the joys and the heartache and the ups and downs of a first romance, and that, changed their lives forever. And this was such an entertaining series, you guys. First of all, to see a male lead like that, young black male lead, and his name was Justin. And I was like, yes, yes. I was like already checking boxes. And he reminded me of myself. He was very shy, he was very gentle, he had emotional intelligence and everything. He reminded me of myself, and it was something I would have loved to see as a teenager. I'm like 22 now, but like I still love to see those kinds of coming of age shows, and I think it was something that meant a lot to me, and I think the world needed. I think we need to see two black teens, experience the highs and lows of first loves and heartbreak and everything. And Keisha, the female lead, played by Levy Simone, and then the Justice, played by Michael Cooper Jr., who is newer on the scene. Levy Simone's been some other stuff, but this is my first time seeing her. And they had amazing chemistry from the start. Amazing chemistry. They were a great duo. You felt every scene with them, whether it's like a love type scene, where they're, flirting or whatever, or, even when they're upset with each other, they have incredible chemistry that I haven't really seen anything like that. And it does explore, some other parts of teen romance that are a little TV 14 or above. So from the very first episode, so that is something that's a part of the series, and that was part of the book Forever that explored, like, teen sex and you know virginity and stuff like that. So it does explore those things. So if you're, just as a warning, in case, you want to watch it with your parents or something, it gets a little up there with some of the um TV 14 teen moments. But I think it was a lovely series. I loved it. It was messy in a teen way, and I enjoyed that a lot. I think that's like one of the very, very best shows of the year because it has such strong. I loved it a lot because it had such strong black representation in terms of these two teenagers and the way they were represented. And then also the parents, though, the parents felt like, your parents, like, in a way, or, a black parent, like a representation of black parenthood that's not seen much, especially in modern television. Like Justin's mom, Dawn, who was played by Karen Pittman. If you've seen the morning show, like she's on there, but like she felt like the ultimate portrayal of a modern day black mom, like in every way. And then Justin's parents being like really in love too. We're seeing a lot of positive black love representation that's not seen enough. Black people should get to be able to see being in love and all the ups and downs that go with it. So I think it was truly a treasure to watch that series and enjoy it. And I love a young adult story. I do, especially I like to write young adult black stories. So this was right up my alley. And I think Forever on Netflix is one of the best shows of the year. And I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. And then our next show, keeping it in the theme with some black young adults representation, the last season of Bel Air just finished up a few weeks ago, and y'all, I was not okay watching the finale. I was just like, oh, I want this show to end. This is like the perfect finale was like eating me. I'm just like, this is so sad and like bittersweet, but also like perfect at the same time because it's just like, and we're not familiar with Bel Air either. It's a dramatic modern reimagining of the 90s sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and it's told in a dramatic version. And it's what a reboot should be. It's really what a reboot should be. I don't want to get too into like a lot of the details of it because I want to do a whole episode about Bel Air and its final season and its legacy, but I think that was an incredible finale, and that show did a lot for me with some young black representation to, being able to relate to some of the storylines of Carlton or Will, even sometimes. And I think it was just a really another it was dramatic, and not everything was positive in their lives, but it was a show that I think black people really love to see, like a black family show. The family all has each other's backs. There's brotherhood, there's sisterhood. There are a lot of positive elements to it, even within all the drama. So I think this is the kind of show that I want to keep seeing shows like that that represent us in so many different ways that we haven't seen before, exploring all the nuances of being black, especially, them, they live in Bel Air, obviously, and, being like a prominent, wealthy family in a rich neighborhood has its ups and downs for sure, especially when you're growing up in that, especially going to these predominantly white schools. You have a lot of pressure, you have a lot of things you have to adjust to and maneuver around, and that stuff felt relatable to me. So I think this show did a lot for me, and it was really, really entertaining. I thought it was so well written. The all four seasons, I was like, this is written really well, and I obviously don't know them. I was like, I'm proud of this team. They've really put something together and made, something as original and equally like as good as the original show that they were inspired by. And I think that's what a reboot or remake should be. It should be something that stays true to the original, does something new and makes its own mark. And I think if it was my one of my friends and I have discussed this about if it was on HBO or Max or something, it might be even more popular. But it's streaming on Peacock, and we're thankful to Peacock for picking up the show. It was the first Peacock original to go 4 seasons like this. So we're thankful to Peacock for sure. I think it could have gone longer, actually. I think we could have seen more of the series, to be honest, but of course it's good to wrap up before things get stale. So I really enjoyed Bel Air, and I that's just has become one of my favorite shows of the streaming era in the last 4 years it's been on. So yeah, that's another top show of the year, one of my favorites. Sad to see it go, but glad to have had it. So stream all 4 seasons on Peacock, and I will do a more in-depth episode because I really want to talk more about it. And now let's talk about the biggest comedy show of the year, and that show is none other than The Studio on Apple TV. And the Studio is the Apple TV Plus comedy starring Seth Rogen as this newly appointed studio head of Continental Studios, juggling the creative and corporate world of movie making. And it won 13 Emmys this year. 13. That is a record for a freshman comedy series. And for once, I am on the winning side of this. Usually, the shows that have these kind of moments are the shows that I'm like mad at, don't like, or not rooting for. But this year, I got to win at the Emmys. Those were my Emmys too. Like for real, like those were my Emmys because I was so happy that the studio won and Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's been around forever. I'm a fan of his work in this comedy, but so excited that that show won 13 Emmys. It was incredible. um it was incredible night. I don't usually always love a sweep type of thing. They didn't sweep, but they won most of them. But this one I was just like, yes, 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 award after award. I'm like, keep it coming, because the studio was that comedy this year. So it's a really funny show. It's really funny, and it's well written and well shot. The filming style of the show is so unique. It's basically all the episodes are shot in this big one take. Think about that one episode of The Bear or something. It's all shot in one take, very continuous shots. There's not really a lot of cutting or pausing. It's very interesting shooting style for a sitcom, and for that to be every episode, and it really fits the pacing of the show. The pace of things kind of move fast. It's a little bit chaotic at times. I think it also represents how things move in the entertainment industry. I think entertainment industry people also love this because it's so accurate to the state of movie making today. The idea of wanting to make remakes and stuff like that. Their whole first season is talking about them making the Kool-Aid movie with IP, and doing how the marketing goes into in the way this and that's Matt Remick, the main characters. That's his dilemma. He's just like, I love movies, but now that I'm the studio head, I feel like my job is to ruin them, because he has all these demands about making money and what movies sell, and remakes and known actors, and et cetera, et cetera. So it really says a lot about today's state of the entertainment industry, and all captures in this very hilarious, well written show that is just so funny to watch. Every week it was on. The characters were so funny, and the actors who portrayed them, like Ike Barinholtz. I'm like, I always liked Ike Barinholtz, but I'm like, this give I like I need you to give him the awards. I was so bummed that he didn't win that. That's the one Emmy. That's one of the few Emmys that they did not win. And I was like, Ike Barinholtz, you need to be avenged. I'm like, congrats, Jeff Hiller, I guess. But it's just like, that was Ike's. That was Ike's. It was like, we'll get it one day. Thank you, Sal Saperstein, and thank you, Seth Rogen, for this incredible show. And it also has so many guest stars. How can I not mention the stars that were great, like Ron Howard, Dave Franco, Anthony Mackie, Zoe Kravitz, Zac Efron, etc. So Um, thank you to the creatives who made this show. Looking forward to season 2 coming out sometime probably in 27, I would assume, or late 26. But looking forward to season 2. And speaking of Seth Rogen and Apple TV, I just he has another show on Apple TV called Platonic with Rose Byrne, who you might recall them being a married couple from the Neighbors movies, Neighbors 1 and 2. And I just discovered this show this year, and it has quickly become a favorite of mine. I was like, I really like this show. Like, I'm having so much fun watching it, because and it explore and you may literally have not heard of Platonic. You probably heard of every other show I've mentioned, but Platonic, I feel like it's criminally underrated. I think I had seen it like when I've been scrolling through Apple TV, but and like probably seen the trailer for it, but I think a lot of people don't really know about it. Flies way under the radar. Um in terms of Apple TV shows, I think, there are so many other bigger shows on Apple TV, including literally the studio. So, but this show is so funny. It follows Will and Cynthia, these two friends from college who have reconnected after a long rift. Seth Rogen plays Will and Rose Byrne plays Cynthia, and they've reconnected after Will's divorce and have kind of rekindled their chaotic, all-consuming friendship. And they're exploring how does this crazy friendship work in this stage of their life compared to college, because Cynthia is married, and has 3 kids, and Will is an entrepreneur, and you know so they're at like midlife or like in their 40s, and they're kind of still exploring these childish, consuming things they used to do, like staying out all night and smoking weed and messing stuff up. And I just think it's so funny. It's kind of has the typical Seth Rogen chaotic physical comedy humor, like that I love, where I'm just sometimes it feels so predictable, but I'm still like, this is still funny to me. And I think it's kind of a comfort watch. Like I was binging, so I watched all of season 1, and then season 2 was out at the same time, and then I had to wait for episodes every week. I'm just like, oh, but I want to watch this show. It feels very comfort show to me. Like, so if you like the kind of relationship, type comedy shows, just about, they're not a couple, obviously, it's clearly called platonic, but it's about their relationship mostly. And it's just a blast, especially if you like the Neighbors movies. This is better to me because it's less. The Neighbors movies sometimes were just doing way too much, but this one is very tame to me, so funny. And Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen are a great comedic duo. Like, that's like a top tier comedic duo to me. And if you're just looking for an easy comfort laugh, I think this is something for you. And especially if you like, the studio or other kind of shows about friendship or stuff like that. These guys are messy. They're a mess. And that's the best part about it. So those are my top 5. I think those are my top 5 shows of the year. I'm going to talk about some of my honorable mentions. The Pit. The Pit is another outstanding, Emmy winning show. This one is a drama, which is, literally from the top 5, that's kind of different for me. I usually really engage in with comedies or dramedy type shows, but The Pit, I don't watch medical dramas. My mother loves a medical drama, but I don't get into them because I think they're more about, the doctors hooking up in the, supply closet or something, or just something that's like, it's just like, is this really about medicine, or is this about, some doctors, doing too much, or, whatever. But this show it has a lot to say. It's a very unique structure. So it's a 15 episode first season, and the whole first season, each episode takes place in 1 hour of this ER team's 15-hour shift. And each episode just takes you hour by hour of all the different things going on in this, um, ER room in Pittsburgh. And there are med students and residents, and like top doctors, all navigating this world of medicine and how crazy it gets. And it says a lot about America's healthcare system today in terms of, taking insurance, how long it takes to get in, how there are few hospital rooms available, how to take care of people with certain conditions. It really, really is very interesting. It feels very grounded. It feels, like it's truly about the medicine. And it's I think it's really entertaining. Like, I'm very engaged with it. I have not finished this series. I'm on like episode 8 or so. That's why it didn't make the top 5. I'm like, I'm not done yet, but it's great so far. I can see why it won outstanding drama at this year's Emmys. I think it's a really good show. Feels very network TV drama in a really good way. Awesome performances, like a good ensemble of characters. So The Pit is definitely a show I recommend if you're into that kind of thing. I also put Severance as an honorable mention with a question mark because I watched the first season of Severance this year and then watched the second season after, and I thought the first season was good, and then the second season felt a little off for me, but it was still good. I was engaged, with it. More so like, where is this going? This show is so weird. Literally, what's happening? Like, but I thought it was interesting, engaging world building. The characters are strong. It's just sometimes the plot gets into like, okay, what exactly is happening here? Like, can someone explain? Like, I need cliff notes. It's like, because I'll be like, what is it? What exactly is going on? Like, I'm confused. But I thought it was pretty stand. I think Adam Scott, as Mark Scout. I'm just like incredible. I was like, this is an incredible performance. He's playing every character basically is playing two different versions of like the same person in a way, especially Adam Scott. Like, the work self he has and then his regular self. So I think, he's doing twice as much work as any other actor doing any other role. And when Noah Wiley won the Emmy, and this was before I'd seen the pay, I was just like, I really think it. I still think Adam Scott deserved it. I still do. I still do because I think that work is incredible, especially the last episode where he's talking to himself, back and forth on the camera. I'm just like, this is like I was just out by that performance and that kind of thing. I was just like, wow, Adam Scott, you are incredible. You have my praise if the Television Academy will not give it to you. But Britt Lauer won, and I think she was incredible too. She played really two distinct different versions of the characters. And then, of course, Tremel Tillman, first black actor to win in the supporting actor category. I'm like, wow. After all these years, I'm like, wow. Wow. He was great. I was just surprised it took so long for a black person to win in that category. I'm like, wait, what? But he was really great. Mr. Milkshake, whatever. I'm like, yes. I was like, truly incredible I think the performances on that show keep me really engaged, even when everything is like giant question mark. But I think that's a good show too. It's still honorable mention. Like, okay, I liked it this year, but okay, it didn't make the top list. And then finally, for honorable mentions, Only Murders. Only Murders in the Building season 5. I don't think it made the top 5 this year just because there are several other shows I like, but I think season 5 was a season where I was really engaged with the mystery. I was truly like, okay, where is this going? I'm interested. Like some of the first few episodes, like I literally be like, oh man, I really want to know what happens in the next episode. So it definitely still has my attention as a comedy, still liking this trio of Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin. I still think they're a great trio. I like their characters. I can see some of the changes throughout the seasons and everything. And I think you watch, even if the murder is like, okay, this seems like whatever. Like, are we losing the plot? I don't know. But you're still interested in this, dynamic between the three of them and how they all work together to solve these cases and stuff. And I do like a comedic murder mystery type show. So it's still one of my favorites. Even 5 seasons in, I can still say I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, so those are my top 5 shows of the year, plus honorable mentions. So yeah, so I think 2025 was a really great show. I mean, a really great year for shows and television. I mean, I forgot to mention Hacks. Hacks is still one of my favorites. Hacks was pretty good this year. I think Janelle should have won the Emmy, but congrats, Hannah. Congrats, I guess. But again, Janelle and Ike Barinholtz, stay in line. We'll get you your Emmys. Janelle, you deserve one before the series is over. But yeah, it was a really, really good year for television. Nobody wants this. Oh my gosh. See, I could do so many. Now I'm just thinking of shows, but I have to do episodes on specific shows, but I think that was another one. Nobody wants this, and Hacks are also under honorable mentions for me. Um but yeah, great year for television and comedy and drama and limited series. So I hope you enjoyed this, new episode of the podcast. I really am hoping to get back into it. I have so many shows I should be talking about, including the ones that I mentioned in this episode, getting further into them and stuff. But um, please stay tuned for more of Justin Talks TV. I'm looking forward to sharing more of my favorite shows with you in 2026. So stay tuned for more episodes. I hope you enjoyed and you'll check out all these shows now streaming. All right. See you guys next time.